can go ahead and perform analysis and geoprocessing within ArcGIS Pro. So we've just ended a session where we performed analysis within ArcGIS Online, but now what we realize within ArcGIS Pro, we have now so many powerful tools that can be used for even advanced analysis. So let's look at the overview. We will discuss spatial analysis in ArcGIS Analysis Ribbon tab. We will also look at what is geoprocessing and how do you access it and which tools are under geoprocessing. We will also discuss issues to do with performing analysis in ArcGIS Pro. Spatial analysis workflow. These are the steps that you undertake when you want to do analysis within ArcGIS Pro. The type of spatial analysis that you can actually perform. In between our discussion, we will also be having some demonstrations, and we know we have very limited resources, so time, and with that we have we'll provide some resources where you can get additional information concerning performing analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So let's look at where does ArcGIS Pro fall within our ArcGIS platform. So ArcGIS Pro is a desktop application. It's relatively new. So how many have actually used it? By the show of hands. How many have used? How many? We only have like 2 people in the room. Yeah, very few people have actually used ArcGIS Pro. But what you realize that it is very easy to use. And so it's a desktop application which has fused the previous desktop application that we are all aware. So we have ArcMap, ArcGlobe, ArcScene, and ArcCatalog, all that fused into one application, which is now ArcGIS Pro. So it means if you're doing your analysis within ArcGIS Pro, you don't need to like open ArcMap. Then if you want to access 3D, you open ArcScene or ArcGlobe and so forth. So you just get all the other desktop application within that one application referred to as a desktop ArcGIS Pro. And then something you need to know is that within this platform, the licensing of ArcGIS Pro is actually done within ArcGIS Online. So you need your administrator for your organizational account to give you the license and also authorize the different extensions that you will be required to use. So what is a spatial analysis? So we all know that ArcGIS or GIS generally is a tool that we use to make informed decision. And for you to be able to make this informed decision, it means you need to process the raw data so that you get the output that you can actually use to make that informed decision. So spatial analysis, it's all about processing your raw geographic data to get some new information that you can use to make some informed decision. Within or with ArcGIS, it actually helps us to answer where question, like where is the highest which area has the highest concentration for maybe a certain mineral, or which is the most appropriate site, maybe, or area to site maybe a school or a public hospital, and so forth. So with the analysis ribbon tab, ArcGIS Pro comes with a ribbon tab that is very simplified. If you're used to working with Microsoft Office, it's like it has a lot of similarity where most of the tools are just displayed at the top. So you don't waste a lot of time trying to look at where are these tools and so forth. So analysis ribbon tools come with a very powerful analytic tools. So as we speak, we have over around approximately 700 tools that you can actually access and do your analysis. So if maybe you had run a tool, it will still store the geoprocessing history. So it means that if you don't like the output and maybe you suspect it is the parameters that you had put, you can always go back to the geoprocessing history. You'll get that tool, then you reset you reset the parameters. So analysis tool or ribbon tab also, it is contextual in nature, in that if maybe you have loaded data that is a vector, we have the tools that they can be used within the vector or with the vector dataset. once you select a raster data, it changes to the tools, or only the tools that will be available are actually the ones that you can use with the raster data. So if maybe you have an imagery, or just maybe a DEM or a HSHADE, you find that the tools that you can actually use with that kind of data set, it becomes active. It becomes active and you're able to use it. So with the geoprocessing, it's actually a rich suite of tools. So the tools that we are talking about, approximately 700 tools, they are actually contained within geoprocessing, and actually they are arranged this way. We also have some similarity with ArcMap. So if you have ever opened a toolbox within ArcMap, you will realize that the tools are arranged in the same manner. The beautiful thing is that with ArcGIS Pro, if you're not so sure like the spelling of the tool that you're looking for, you just need to type the first few letters, and then it gives you a list of the possible tools that you could be looking for. And like in ArcMap, where you have to, if you're using a search tool, you have to be very sure with the spelling. If you spell it incorrect, it just tells you that that tool is not available. But within a geoprocessing tab, it actually gives you the list of possible tools that you could actually be interested in. Then something I will also notice is that with the geoprocessing tool in ArcMap, we only have like 4 tools: buffer, clip, and so forth. But here now we have so many tools. It's like it contains all the tools within the toolbox. So it also supports both the analysis tool and the data management tool. So I will invite Noah to take us through the analysis ribbon tab and just show us how we can quickly get the analysis tool and maybe run a few tools within a geoprocessing pane. Welcome, Noah.
Thank you. So let's have a look at briefly on how you can access different tools within ArcGIS Pro. So for you to carry out analysis, we saw that ArcGIS Pro is very simplified in terms of its accessibility and also its interface. So analysis is part of our tabs within Pro. So if we go to analysis, we don't need to look everything all over. We have everything concerning analysis being put in the same place. So for example, if you'd like to set the environment geoprocessing settings first, we have the environment. If you'd like to access different tools, we have it there, whereby we have you can even have some favorite tools. You can go to the toolboxes, whereby what you normally have within ArcMap is all within ArcGIS Pro. You can still access some items within your portal. You can also, for those who automate their workflows, we have Model Builder within the same interface. You don't need to go looking for it. It's just here. We also have Python scripter, or the Python window, which you can also work with. So what we are looking at is a simplified interface when it comes to analysis. We still have, or we also have some of the common tools which you can be accessing every other time. Like for example, we have some overlay proximity tools to analyze patterns, which I think we looked at in ArcGIS Pro. So some of these tools are available within the pane. You can even customize this window to add your own common tools to be able to work with them comfortably. So ArcGIS Pro is easier to work with when it comes to accessing the tools. We also have some raster analysis. Yesterday I explained, or I talked about raster functions. We also have different function editors and such things. So it's very, very simple to access analysis components. So you just need to hit on the analysis tab, and everything to do with analysis is at the same place. So Penina, I think you can proceed with to show us different analysis which we can carry on within Pro.
Okay, thank you very much, Noah. Now we know at least where do you get the tools for you to do any analysis within ArcGIS Pro, and as we've seen, it's very easy, and most of the tools are actually displayed at the analysis ribbon tab. So let's look at how do you go ahead and do analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So the advantage of using ArcGIS Pro is like you can do either 2D kind of analysis, 3D, and even 4D type of analysis within one window or within one desktop application. And like when you're using the other desktop application, you do maybe some analysis in ArcMap. Then if you want to take that analysis in 3D, now it means now you either open ArcScene or ArcGroup. But this is not the case. So you get all the functionality, or you get all the tools for the other desktop application within ArcGIS Pro. The 4D, this is the time function. This is the time dimension. So if you also need to do your analysis and you also need to consider time, you still be able to perform a 4D type of analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So we also say that ArcGIS Pro is also very fast. It's a 64-bit application, and this makes it very fast because it allows you to it allows your machine to maximize its capability to the maximum. So, and something else, you will realize that it is a non-blocking threading application. It means as this tool runs, you don't have to wait. You could also be doing something else. So unlike maybe in other application whereby you have to wait for the tool to run before you can move maybe to the next item. So this is not the case when you're within ArcGIS Pro. You just need to click run. As the other two runs, you could be doing something else. So the extensions that are supported with the other desktop application, the older or the old desktop applications that we all are aware of, all those extensions are also supported within ArcGIS Pro. It just depends on the level of your license. So here we have this basic license, which doesn't have any extension. Then we have the basic, basic, standard, and advanced. So depending on the kind of license that you have, so you will get the extensions depending on the level of the license. So if you have the advanced, it means you have access to spatial analyst extension, the network analyst, the geostatistical analyst, and so forth. And you're also able to automate your workflows. So like within ArcGIS Pro, if maybe you had done some some Python, maybe you had automated your workflow, especially you had maybe a Python script that used to help maybe perform analysis in ArcMap, you can still run the same within ArcGIS Pro. So let's look at the kind of analysis that ArcGIS Pro supports. So as I had mentioned earlier, it is contextual in nature, meaning that depending on the kind of data that you have, it will give you the tools that are relevant for use with the kind of data. So if you have your vector data, you still have the tools for you to be able to perform a vector spatial analysis. If you're working on raster data, the raster spatial analysis tool will still be available for you to perform the analysis. So with that, let's look at what are the steps that you need to undertake for you to do analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So it's still very similar with the kind of how we prepare for analysis maybe in ArcMap. The first thing you need to frame the question, because remember, GIS, it's all about solving spatial problems. So you need to state your problem by framing the question. Then you choose and prepare your data. If you want maybe to cite maybe like a new nuclear plant, it means you have some criteria. So you need to prepare the data that you need to use for that kind of analysis. Once you have done that, you need to choose the method and the tool. So when you're choosing the method and the tool, it will depend on the complexity of your analysis. And also, if it's something that you just want to do once and that is it. So if it is something, a kind of analysis that you're always performing, you can choose to automate your workflow by using maybe a model builder or Python scripting. If it's a very straightforward kind of analysis, you can just decide to run a tool one at a time. Then once you have done that, the next thing you need to perform are the actual analysis, and then you'll get your output. So once you have the output, the next thing is to examine and refine your results. If you find that maybe the output you have gotten is not what you expected, or will not help you solve the problem at hand, so you need to go back and check, is it maybe the parameters that the way you set the parameters for your tool, or is it maybe you even used the wrong tool, or maybe it's the data set that is incomplete. So once you do that, you can go back and now do that analysis once more. And once you get the results that are able to help you answer your problem, you can go ahead and share with the relevant individuals. So what kind of analysis can you do within ArcGIS Pro? You can do proximity analysis, like find what is nearby. Or maybe you can also do an overlay analysis. We normally do an overlay analysis when we want to find out what is inside within a given or within an area, or what is on top. So you can also do the temporal analysis. This is where now you're considering at the time, if you want to see what are the changes that have taken place over a given period of time. So you can do a temporal analysis. You can also do a statistical analysis. We normally do perform a statistical analysis when we want to identify some patterns within our data set. You want maybe to find, do we have some hotspots, or what is the mean, the median, and so forth. So with that, I will welcome Noah. We are not able to show you like how to do the 4 different type of analysis. So for this session, we've settled on statistical analysis, but we'll still be available if maybe you want to learn more about the other types of analysis. But if you have ever done any analysis maybe within ArcMap, you find that it's very similar. It's only that the tools have been reorganized, and now it's like you just find them in one area, but it's still very similar. So Noah will take us through and show us how do you perform a statistical analysis within ArcGIS Pro.
So I will quickly take you through just some few areas of statistical analysis. So when we talk of statistical analysis, we shall be looking at things to do with distribution, distribution of different data sets or different facilities of in question. So I'll be looking at 3 concepts within statistical analysis. The first one will be what we call directional distribution. So when we look at, for example, these are data sets on health facilities within Kisumu County. Yes, we can display this data like that to just show location. But in terms of statistics, we can go further to get some more insight about this data. So we have two types of facilities which have categorized facility type 1. These are government health facilities. Then we have facility type 2, which are other health facilities which are run by probably NGO, private facilities and such. So yes, we can display that and at least get some information about that. But when we talk of directional distribution, I would like to get an insight about how these facilities are distributed within the county. Is there, or do I have some areas whereby we have these facilities, whereby we have more public facilities than others? Do we have fair distribution when it comes to private facilities and such? So I'll be running a tool we call directional distribution. So directional distribution is a statistical tool which you can usually run and get an insight about the distribution of different facilities. So for my input data or my input feature, I'll use my health facilities. For the output, let's give it some time to load. So I'll save that. So there is what we call a case field. This is where now we go ahead and specify I would like to use the type of facility as my case field. Remember we have other fields, and run that analysis to see what kind of an output we are going to get. So we are going to get like a ring or some kind of circles representing the distribution of my facilities based on either type 1, which is public, and type 2, which is private. So by just looking at what I have, let me just go ahead and symbolize these differently, all my data differently. So let me use a unique value. That is, how do you like to use the type? Let me go to check on I don't want to have the colors. I'll also change for the other one. But the outline color I can change to red and apply. So from the look of what I have, we can see clearly we have some areas whereby we have in terms of distribution of public facilities, they are fairly distributed within that ring. We also have the distribution for private facilities. So it means within the central area, that's where they are fairly distributed. We have areas where they are overlapping. So it means those areas where they are overlapping, there is a fair distribution between the private and public. But the others outside that ring, it means we all understand because within Kisumu town, and areas within towns, we expect that kind of distribution. So you can use that to show or to think about within your line of work something within how to work with directional distribution and be able to at least show something out of it. We can go ahead and look at another kind of statistical analysis out of directional distribution. So here I have public primary schools. I would like now to show you something else in terms of how you can show distribution again. So we have what we call distribution in terms of location and based on your area. So I'm looking at how we have our primary schools distributed within Kisumu County. I'm looking at some areas whereby I can see we have some areas where probably we don't have schools, or we have some spaces. We have some other areas where we have high concentration of these facilities. So as a researcher, you can go outside there, collect data. You'd like to know whether this data was randomly collected, or we talk of clustering and such terms. So I'm going to use what we call average nearest neighbor. That's a tool for use when it comes to distribution. I'll still go back to my analysis. Under tools, we have average nearest neighbor. So that tool is part of a statistical analysis. You can usually look for it. It's part of the tools. But because I know I had already run it earlier on, that's why it's part of these tools. So what I'm going to do is I'll input my Kisumu primary schools. Then what we normally get is a report showing us different or showing us the distribution of our data. You can specify the area. For example, the area is, I can consider the area of Kisumu County, but by default it should be able to get the area out of the distribution of my facilities, or how distributed they are. So if you have an area, you can get or specify what area will be considered on your analysis. I'll go ahead and run that and be able to generate a report out of the same and see how our schools are distributed. So you can see we have not gotten like a new layer, but I've gotten what we call a report. So I can go ahead and look at that report. So you open your report using any browser. So this is the kind of a report which I'm able to get. So from that, we can see our distribution of our schools is clustered. We can have random or dispersed. So clustered, you could see in some areas, for example, within towns, we have so many schools. Some areas we don't have such facility. So there's no way we could have gotten a random distribution. There's no way we could have dispersed. So what we can get is clustered. There's a lot of material on the p-values. Those guys who are good in statistics, we know what p-value, z score, what they mean. So you can use this tool when you have gone outside there, collected your data for your research, to be able to explain. We still have some other tools to get the same results. Remember, ArcGIS normally customizes some of these tools from different researches which have been done by different researchers. So we can get these reports. As you can see, we have an explanation of what is on top there. we also have all these explanation to go by. So you can use average nearest neighbor to get such kind of information. Lastly, I'll go ahead and perform an hotspot analysis with the same public primary schools. So these primary schools, yes, they are distributed. We can see we have areas where we have clustering like within towns. But that's not enough to get the distribution. We have something of concern. For example, I have a concern with the enrollment in these schools. So you'd like to know which area has higher enrollment in terms of the number of people per school, which areas or which schools have lower enrollment. So I can go ahead and carry out an hotspot analysis within ArcGIS Online. I think Penina did the same within ArcGIS Online. So all these tools are there to help us to work with every application which we have. So I can go ahead, have a look at hotspot analysis. Remember, we have so many types of hotspot analysis to work with. So I have my public primary school. You can see here we have the input field, which now is the total enrollment. It's not only the distribution which I'm looking at. I can go ahead, let me call this or change this with a unique name. Then go ahead and run that hotspot analysis and be able to understand which schools have higher enrollment, which schools have low enrollment. I don't know what is wrong with people around this place, but I also saw they don't sleep under mosquito net. So still with the people within this other side. So that place, whoever is in Kisumu should be able to see what is happening there. So yeah, they don't want to go to school. They don't want, or they are sick. They could be sick because of the malaria. So yeah, we are running out of time. This is the last presentation. I'm inviting Penina to end it. Probably she has a, I don't know whether she comes from Kisumu, but let her finish.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Noah, for that insightful analysis. I want to believe now that all of us should be able to perform analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So what are we doing? I'm trying to give you as many applications as possible so that you're comfortable in whichever tool application that you choose to use. If you would choose to do analysis in online, you can still access the tools. If you want to perform maybe your analysis in ArcMap, it's still available for you. If you want to access it through ArcGIS Pro, still available for you. So we know we had a very limited time. So these are the areas you can visit the website to get more information concerning spatial analysis within ArcGIS Pro. So kindly visit this site. We also have YouTube. If you just Google, we have a lot of information that is out there and which you can actually use. So if this is not sufficient, we're still available for you to ask us any question. Back in Nairobi, almost every month, we normally have technical sessions, which we invite people to attend. So you could maybe, once you get an invitation, you can also come and see what other applications are actually available. So before I invite, if there is any question, we will check the questions. Yes.
I'm wondering if Esri has a timeline when ArcGIS Pro will fully replace ArcMap. So it looks like that in the long run ArcGIS Pro will replace ArcMap, but I'm wondering, is there any timeline?
I would say no, we are not planning to replace the other desktop application. So ArcGIS Pro here, it's here to complement. Like it's a one-stop shop, you just access everything. But if you still want to use their applications, they're still there. We don't have any plans to retire the other desktop application.
Yeah, I also commend you for the good presentations that you've made, both of you. My question is on the analysis that you made regarding the schools in order to see the distribution and the direction. During the morning session when the Honorable Dr. was presenting, during the profile, we had realized that some of the areas were not included simply because when they went to field verification, those areas were wetlands. Now my question is this one. Do you have any option of excluding areas which are not supposed to be part of the analysis? Like the way you show the distribution of the schools or health facilities. Some areas didn't have even one. Maybe could have could be like a mountainous area or a wetland area of which should not be part of the analysis because that's a have or it cannot take such kind of facility. Do you have any option of excluding those areas which are not supposed to be included in the analysis? And the other thing, sorry, it was not demonstrated in your presentations, but regarding the temporal analysis, showing the change detection study. In the older versions like the ArcGIS, when you do the analysis, the result that you get in the table, it tells you from two categories. And then it was too involving because when you prepare change detection matrix, you have to do it on your own, putting the columns for the previous year, first year, and then here. Then you fill up the matrix. What is the case in this one? Do you get the matrix by automatically once you run it, or you have to do it again?
Okay, thank you very much for those two questions. So you are able to exclude some of the areas if you want to do an analysis and you find that there are some areas that should not be included within that analysis. So we normally do that by when you're setting the environment settings. That is where you exclude some of the areas that you feel should not be included in your analysis. And also, when you're setting the criteria for your analysis, so you can also come up with a criteria that will also exclude what should not fall, what should not be considered. Now, about automating most of the parameters, yes, that has actually been done. So with time, we're always upgrading the application. So there was a very huge change actually from ArcView to ArcGIS. So that was a very huge change. It came up with a lot of changes, which actually it was meant to better the experience when you're using you're running different applications. So for now, you'll find that in most cases, once you set their parameters, it will automate most of the other things that you need to consider, or the factors that you need to consider when you're doing your analysis. The last question, please, preferably from a lady now. Who wants to ask the last question before we close the second? It seems there are no more questions. So thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you next year for another technical.